I want to go back to something that Elle said in the episode that we recorded with her about, correct me if I'm wrong, the marketplace or something like that is in Carolina.
Mm-hmm. High Point Market.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And breaking into that industry, breaking into that industry, of course, your uniqueness is there's no one like you. There's no one like you two in that industry. Have there ever been a point to where you felt like your uniqueness is almost like a weakness? Not to you, of course.
Are you rapping?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Around there.
Bars.
Racist bars. Bars, nonetheless. But go ahead.
Hashtag racist bars. No, because like I understand that everybody want to be the first, and everybody want to be unique, and everybody want to stand out.
That's true.
But something that we was talking about, even off camera and things like that, how certain things are a boys' club, or certain things are a lawyers' club, or something like that. Is there certain protocols or certain, what's the word? I don't want to use the word sponsor, but kind of like someone who kind of give you the okay, like, hey, they cool.
Oh, like an ally?
Yeah, an ally who is not our color, but kind of be like, they good. You know what I mean? Like, does it work like that in that industry or so forth?
You just gotta take it by force.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's similar to any other industry where the way that our society is set up is someone has to vouch for someone else most of the time. It's like we're always looking for, you know, like if you go to Amazon, you don't buy nothing if the reviews are like 100 people.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Like everyone wants someone to say, like, validate this thing. So we actually have another story where we recently have expanded the business to include staging. You know, staging vacant properties for sale. And we were introduced to this broker who, you know, is $1 million realtor, you know, whatever, sells these $1 million homes in McLean, Virginia.
Shout out to McLean.
I don't know about that.
Oh, I was trying to live out there, but never mind. I guess I go back to PG County.
So yeah, so we're introduced to him, and he's like, you know, you guys are up and coming, you know, and we're like, yeah, we want to do our first stage with you, and hopefully, you know, if it does well, then we'll just continue this relationship. And so, do you know that this guy looks at us and offers us peanuts?
Really?
Peanuts. So he had a house. The house is on the market for $4.7 million. It's a $4.7 million house. And it ain't like the house is nothing extra, like, fancy. It's just because it's in McLean.
Exactly.
You know? And he already had the house staged, and it was terrible. The staging was awful. And so he's like, he's seen our work. He's never seen us stage before, but he knows that, of course, when it comes to design, we can do it. And I'm like, yes, if you can see that, then, you know, let's surprise you. For 6 months, he says he wants us to stage. He's going to have the old staging removed, and then we're going to restage the house. Stage 5 rooms, and for the length of 6 months, and he's going to pay us $500 a month.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Chen is offended.
Oh, no. I thought you was saying peanuts like $30K, $40K.
You know, $500 a month.
$500 a month.
Chen is offended for you.
$500 a month. Meanwhile, let me tell you a little bit about staging. So the reason we even entered into this...
Don't y'all do rooms
like,
for the intake? Because just asking for the design.
So the reason we even expanded into staging was partially because for the last year or so, there's been sort of a dip because, of course, inflation, the economy is really tough, and interior design is a luxury service, so not everyone just has money to blow like that. And so we're like, well, there is a boom in real estate, so why don't we sort of take our talents and supplement while we're trying to figure out what's going on with, for the economy to stabilize.
Yeah.
And we also know that we can do this. Like, if you look at staging, it's terrible. God awful. So he knew that we could stage the house much better than what he had before. And I will share some before pictures, the before staging, and then the after staging, so that you guys can see. It's night and day. Yet, because we're black, because we're up and coming, he lowballed us.
Question: do you think it's because you're black only, or that you're a woman? Which one is?
I think it's both.
You think
I think it's both.
It flows hand in hand.
I think in that situation, it was an intersection of both. And to just like the audacity. So with staging, usually there's the initial staging fee to do the work, and then there's a monthly rental of the furniture per space. Now I said 5 rooms. And so usually our fee, the way we set up the fee structure was $500 per room on top of our initial staging fee. He's like, since I'm trying you guys out, blah, 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 we're not going to do a staging fee because the owner isn't going to pay for a new company to stage. Because the place is already staged. So waive the staging fee, and I will do $500 a month. And so in my mind, I'm like, oh, okay, $500 per room per month.
That's at least $2,500.
Right. That makes sense. Okay, fine. No.
He said no, $100 per room.
And I just, the audacity.
For a whole month, 30 days. So, where is that relationship now?
So, we took a leap of faith. We were upset and disappointed and humiliated, really, and we're just like, F this. Like, we don't have to do this. We don't have to, but, after sort of seeking counsel, it was like, you know what? It's your first one. Like, just get your foot in the door, see where this relationship is going to go. And it's been 2 months, almost 3 months.
Oh, so this is new.
It's been 2 months, almost 3 months. The house hasn't sold. And the house hadn't sold. It was on the market for like 190 days or something like that. And so when we restaged it, we told him to remarket it. But it's really not. We told him jump. We were like, it's not the staging that's the problem. Staging is terrible, and it would make a difference.
Yeah.
But the house is old. It's musty. Like,
your house is dusty.
You need to like air it out. You need to do some changes. For $4.7 million, there are a couple different things here that need to be changed. And so this is our, us with our design hat on. It's like, these are the things, the upgrades that you need to put in this house if you want to sell it for this much.
Yeah.
Of course.
Nobody wants that.
No, right. So it's ongoing, but we don't think that we're gonna, because we just feel like we're not getting the results that we wanted.
Makes sense.
Because it's not like he's referred us to anybody since. So really, what are we gaining by the loss that we've incurred?
No, that's interesting though, because just hearing just how that came about trying to get your foot in the door. And the fact that or maybe you could tell me how do you know when to cut your losses? Because sometimes your past wins can sometimes blind you into being like, oh, I done this, and you was like, especially with me, I feel like I can do anything and things like that. It took me a couple of losses to realize that I have this saying actually. It's funny because I said this to somebody in church. I said, just because I can do anything doesn't mean I should be doing everything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I feel like whatever I put my hands to, I can learn it, I can become good at it, and I can do it. But there is a such thing as this is not worth my time, and maybe I shouldn't really be doing this. So how do you know when to cut your losses in business when you basically have those past wins to where you actually have those victories of like, oh, I got past this, or I didn't get past this?
This is a timely question because I think we're in the middle of trying to make that decision. You know, we invested quite a bit of money in trying to expand into staging, but we're realizing that like there's the work that we put in isn't giving us the output that is equal or even above it. And so we're trying to figure out, should we cut our losses? Should we scrap it?
And who is the one that makes that decision?
We make the decision together.
No,
one person.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, who convinces the other person to come to that point? Because, like, one thing that is funny about me and Chen's relationship, because Chen is so risk averse, Chen would be the one that would have to reel me back in. Because I'd be like, yo, we can just do anything. And Chen's like, no, we can't. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing I tell Chen all the time. I say, Chen, you're one of the smartest people I know. He'd be like, I'm not. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, who is the one that has to be like, hey, that needs some convincing to cut losses or like to go that extra mile and things like that? Even though you say it's a decision together, have there ever been a time to where y'all disagree and y'all have
plenty,
and y'all have to butt heads and y'all have to, you know, conflict? Like right now, me and my lady is having conflict with planning this wedding and things like that. And of course, it's gonna grow us in the future once we get to the actual wedding day. But right now, it's like, I want this and she wants and she wants that. So, like, who is the one that's usually the hard-headed one?
It's Elle.
Oh, okay. Shout out to Elle.
She is a dreamer. She's a dreamer.
I'm a dreamer too, though.
Exactly. That's why we get off the cloud, like get on Earth. She's a dreamer, and she has a lot of ideas. And you know, I'm all about it, but I'm the executor. I'm the one who is going to see how we can make those dreams come true. And sometimes it's like, you are a balloon in the sky, and I need to just
pull it back.
Come on down real quick so we can figure out how to do this. What's the practicality? How is this going to happen? When is it going to happen? Who's going to pay for it? How are we going to pay for it? How much is it? You know, those are the questions. So a lot of the times I'm the sort of like dream killer, like the balloon firster, but it's like usually more of like we can't do this right now.
That's usually what they say when basically not at all, but basically because I'm nice and I'm your friend, I'm gonna say we can't do it right
now. That's the equivalent. We got our food at home.
Like, I'm not going to McDonald's. No,
there's food at home. Yeah. So, I don't know. I think with this staging thing, though, she's been the one advocating to cut the losses, and I've been the one who's like, let's just see, like, wait and see.
Okay.
You know, she was like, we shouldn't take the deal with the person I just told you about. She didn't want to take it. She was like, no. And so I was the one who was like, you know, let's just see.
Yeah.
Let's take time and see where it goes. So I think it depends on the situation, but most of the time I'm the one who's like, it's not happening.
That's interesting. How are you with friends? Do you have a lot of friends?
I'm friendly with a lot of people.
Okay.
But I can count on my hand like who I like call my friends. I don't let a lot of people in.
Yeah.
At all, really.
I asked that because, like, you know, we all older and things like that, like in our 30s, I believe. I'm 32 this year. And it's like, Chen, I grew up with him. So, like, that's just, he just in from the beginning. And many times they're not based on career paths. You kind of see the split of, like, okay, I'm not friends with this person because, and of course you're not judging nobody, like they don't really got their stuff together and things of that nature. Or you don't want to deal with jealousy and things like that. Jealousy is a big thing that happens, which I'm learning now in your 30s. You're going to come across a lot of jealous people because people who didn't put in the work in their 20s is going to reap what they didn't put in their 30s. And have there ever been a time to where, because you're so business driven, that you're like, oh, I'm disappointed in my friend group, or do your friend group really understand you and know you? Like, hey, even though like it's basically low maintenance. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think they understand that, like, they understand who I am to them and who they are to me, and so they really don't take offense with, like, you know, maybe I'm not here all the time, or if I'm with them, maybe I'm distracted a little bit because I'm like doing things on my phone and things like that. But we have, you know, a level of accountability where if like it gets too far or it gets too much, they'll be like, listen, XYZ, like I feel this and we should work on this kind of thing. But I'm not, all of my friends are like deeply committed and connected to me, and I'm deeply committed and connected to them, and that's why there's so few, because I like cannot put out too much more energy if I were to have like a lot more to be committed to.
Are you an emotional person?
No.
What do that mean?
This is the second time that you talked about, and I'm not going to touch on the first time, that you talked about having that type of relationship where you guys are very intimate. And it seemed like you having these conversations about how we mean to each other, or you know, lack of I guess connectedness. But you don't come across that type of person that would even have or engage in those conversations. So what does that look like? Is that something that you have to learn to grow into? Is that something that, you know, you could step into just naturally? Like, what is that?
So it depends on the relationship. Naturally, I'm not a very like sort of emotional. When I think I get what, like why are we doing that? But it depends on that's why I only have a few, because if I'm going to be vulnerable, it takes a lot for me to be vulnerable. It takes a lot for me to be, you know, sort of emotionally bare, and so I can only do that with a small number of people. But to the rest of the world, and that's the thing. It's like, I'm only able to be, just like all of us, we're only able to be naked in front of a certain amount of people, or, you know, a certain few people, right? Like, you're not just naked all the time. So most people don't get to see your naked body, but the few that do, you feel comfortable.
Yeah. It's so interesting because even with our dynamic, if you was to describe just the word emotional, I'd probably be more emotional than what Chin is. And so forth. I think so.
I disagree.
Really?
How so?
I think maybe 5 years ago, I think I'm more emotional than you.
What do you mean by emotional?
Now I'm curious.
Because here's the thing, I'm not crying. So like the first thing I hear about emotional is I think of like tears. So I know neither of us is that.
Yeah.
But like I'm very in tune with how I feel.
Okay.
And I'm very direct with how I feel.
Okay.
And there's no sugarcoating with me in that point. In other words, I'm not passive aggressive. I hate passive aggressive.
Me too. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of passive aggressive at all. So that's.
But I think when I say emotional, it's not like not being able to control your emotion. I think a lot of times that's the wording that gets associated with that type of like crying uncontrollably or not being able to, you know, keep your. But when I say emotional, is able to have certain conversations where you're dealing with your emotion. Whereas I could tell my girlfriend like I'm angry right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I could be like, I what upset me, and I learned this from you, because I remember once we had a conversation where it's like, you can't be that tough guy all the time. You gotta tell your girlfriend, or you gotta tell the person that you're into or you with, like, hey, I need this, or I don't need this, and I can't deal with this. Like, you can't be that tough guy. Like, oh, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. I learned that from you, but I just think I do it better than you.
Okay.
I guess so. 5 years ago, yeah.
Long story short,
I mean, the student has to pass the teacher.
I got the A+.
But yeah, I think that's something that I worked on, and something that, you know, because I was kind of like you, where like I did not like to get into that space. I don't like feeling weird. I don't like even feeling like people could even manipulate my emotion.
Like you can't get close.
Yeah, like don't even think like I don't like the games that people like to play with people's emotion. I'm like, all that's for the but what I learned is you can't get past certain things in a relationship, friendship, partnership, your parents, your siblings. You can't unless you cross that threshold.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to ask though is that, or were these friends? Because me and Chris, we became friends since we were young. I think most of our friends are from when we were young. Yeah. It was kind of one of those things that just naturally happened. Do you have new friends currently where you were able to develop those relationships into the space where you feel comfortable to bare your soul? And what did that journey look like in your older
And if you do,
stages?
please teach me how you did that.
Teach both of us.
Because
we're learning through trauma.
Because one thing I found with me is that we actually had an episode about this is I want to learn how to make friends, new friends as an adult. And it's kind of hard to, at least from my perspective, because we grew up, most of, if not all my friends came before the age of 10.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't
have any friends from
like,
when I was younger.
But you also moved too.
Yeah.
So
like even now, so
teens.
So I had friends. I had high school friends that I was really, really close to, like Nicole and them. I don't really speak to them anymore.
Yeah.
Not because we had beef.
Yeah.
We just moved on. And the friends that I'm like I could name on, one hand that are like, these are my core people.
Yeah.
They're all friends from like the last 6 years.
Okay.
Really?
That's good because this is my point. That,
the longest friends. So I have two that are. So Summer, I've known for a decade.
Okay. Well, you and Summer that close.
Maybe 12 years now. So she's like the longest friend I have. And then the rest of them I've only known since law school.
Okay. And the reason why we asked is because I don't know how, as an adult, to make new friends with deep connections. It feels fake in a way because it's like if I become friends with someone as an adult, it's more in my eyes of what can I do for you, what can you do for me. I don't feel that way about Jen. I don't feel that way about Tony. I don't feel that way about any of my friends and stuff like that. But with an adult, it's almost as if it's like there has to be an exchange because there is no history to fall back on. So how do you teach me, please, if it's even possible to build those deep connections as an adult, of having friends that you call like, okay, these are my friends. That's on this one hand of mine.
That's tough. I think it starts from just sort of like what you value. One, I also think you need to figure out, like, do you need new friends in the first place? I didn't go looking for these friends. It just sort of formed organically. We sort of clicked on something or some things. We had some things in common. We had a shared experience.
Yeah.
So my very, very, very best friend, we met in law school. And on the first day of law school, really. And we've been inseparable since. And so we clicked on, being family oriented. Like we both come from a pretty tight knit family. She's Haitian, I'm Ghanaian. Like those kinds of we're the go-tos in our families. Everyone wants something from us. Like that's where we clicked on. And so we got closer based on that commonality. So there has to be, like, what is it that you're looking for, that value? And then loyalty. Like, I have to feel like I will give myself to this person, and this person will give themselves to me. And if I don't feel like that, I readjust how I...
So basically, it's never one-sided.
No, ever.
Okay.
Ever. Especially because I'm very particular about who I let into that space of mine. So I have to see something in you to feel comfortable for you to see, right? It's like, sorry to keep using this analogy about nakedness, but like, I'm not taking my sock off if you don't have your socks off.
Yeah.
You know, like, if I come to your house and you got on shoes in your house,
I'm gonna wear shoes.
I'm gonna wear shoes in the house.
Definitely wear shoes in the house.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like a give and take. Like, I have to see something for me to also give that same energy back. And that takes time. It's hard. But, like, I'm curious to know why you want to have new friends. Why you feel like you want to make new friends.
Because I feel like for a certain... Because I never made a friend temporarily. It's kind of weird. So, and please help me, Chen, if you can have the better words. But is I only know deep connections. And also, I'm also the glue in all my friendships. So I am the one that, like, for example, guys don't talk to each other. I talk to everybody and things of that nature. So I'm the glue. So I have deep connections with everybody. For me,
but they don't have deep connections with each other.
It's funny because they all met before me. You know what I'm saying?
I met Garvin through you, but yeah.
Yeah, like
Garvin.
Yeah. So, but it's like we all love each other. But it's like, for example, because of who I am, like, for example, Chen is like the type to where I could put something down and I could pick it up whenever and it would be the same. I'm not that person. I'm the one that's going to call each of them each week. How's everything? Things of that nature. Especially with guys. Guys is a different dynamic. You got to check up on your guy friends because you don't know what they're going through. And then before you know it, they're going through some things and they just got out of control. It's like, okay.
Except Chen now knows how to do that.
Yeah. More emotional.
Yes. So, but with me, I'm trying to find the balance of how to build connections that is not deep, that is not
that's interesting.
Yeah, so like, for example, I'll use L for example. I would love to be friends with L, but I don't know how to be friends without being
so deeply.
Yes, like it's one of those things where it's like it's just a business relationship, and I don't really know how to do that because I only know deep connections. I get it. I only know people that are like family to me.
Oh, I can do that so easily. I'm extremely personable. I have so many people that, like, I'm friends with, but, like, not to that level of the people on one hand. And I think part of it is, like, you have to make a decision about how far you're willing to go. And so once you make a decision about that, like, I call it drawing lines. I draw lines and in my mind and in my heart, I, like, shift tiles. So think of, like, checkers, for instance, right? So, you know, there's a possibility that someone who is, like, all the way at the end, you know, at the whatever, like, I just shift them based on what they do, how they respond to me, like, what's happening in life generally. So there are some people who maybe I was, like, closer with before they got married, but now they're married, and, like, there's no bad blood. It's just, like, life happens, so you just reorient the relationship. Or redefine the relationship. And even with Elle, like, Elle and I had a moment where, like, we've had moments in our, like, relationship where for a while, you know, when we were growing up, she moved to Michigan. And I am the type of person who is, like, out of sight, out of mind. That's just how I am. Same with Summer. Summer moved to Germany. She was in Germany for 2 or 3 years, and our relationship shifted. And when she came back, shifted back. You know, and it may be different now, but it's just a different shift, and I'm able to do that with different people. But all of that is based on defining the relationship. Is this person important to me? Do I want to, pursue this relationship, and how deeply do I want to pursue it? Once I answer those questions, then I can, shift them where I want to shift them. And then if they do something that shifts them closer to me, then fine, I will also shift closer. But if they do something that pushes me away, then no bad blood again. Like, it's just like you just move somewhere else in my...
It's a very dynamic...
Yeah, like
flux type of...
It just shifts. So...
I want you to ask your lawyer question about can you be if I said it wrong, can you be a good lawyer if something
and a good person?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Why not? Where does that question come from?
So
have you been watching Better Call Saul?
No. I
love it.
I remember hearing this one episode on NPR. I think it was I'm not going Radio Lab. And they were interviewing a lawyer. And the lawyer, this was a while back, took on a case. He was the defendant, the defense counsel of a person who killed one of those little white girls in the mountains. And I think the guy told him, like, yeah, I did it, or he kind of knew he did it, and there was evidence where he kind of knew if the other people found it that he would, the guy would go away, and he decided not to give it up. Like, he decided, I don't know if it was evidence, but he knew something that would determine the case over for the guy, but he decided not to give it up to be a good lawyer to his client. And the question arose was, like, did he do the right thing? Was he, because I think it's a case that people study, is a case that people study, and sorry, the volume kind of threw me off.
Sorry.
But yeah, it's a case that people study in school to see, okay, what makes a good lawyer? Because apparently that what makes a good lawyer. But it also means, it comes into question, is he a good person? And so there are decisions and things that you might have to come across with that either you do your job well, or you put into question or you're not putting into question, or you live up to what your ideals and your morals are. So it's either your morals or your job. And I feel like that's a I guess a question that every lawyer has to make at one point. So if you're a good lawyer, like, there's going to be criminals that did it, that you had to defend, or there's going to be innocent people that you might be like, he might not have done it, but hey, I have to, like, this is my job.
Yeah, I think the lawyer-client relationship is one of those sort of rare ones where you have to think about what your role is to the person. There's morals, and then there's ethics, and those are two different things. And I think the question really is too broad about whether you're a good person or a good lawyer, because you have to think about what is being done and for what purpose. It also depends on whose perspective you're asking from. From the defendant's perspective, he's not only a good lawyer, but he's a good person. To him, he was a good lawyer for not breaching his, duty of confidentiality and duty of loyalty. But he's a good person because he saw something in me, or he felt pity for me, or whatever it is.
I think you're trying to sell me something.
I'm not. No, and I'm really not. And
even though he knows he killed that little white girl. He's also, thank you, lawyer, for seeing something for me. I'm gonna kill my other white girls.
R.I.P. to that about the white girl.
R.I.P. to all the white girls.
Charlotte drew teeth.
I don't know what to keep saying that. It's not coming out next week.
And so I think there are situations where you are caught, like, in a sort of bind about whether you want to be a good lawyer or a good person, and what matters more. Lawyers have to make that decision, and I think if it's too much for you as a lawyer, then it compromises you being a good person. Then you have to decide that you can't proceed. So, for instance, like, I told myself, I will not take a case. I would not do a case or be able to work on a case that deals with, like, a rapist or a molester. Like, that's where I draw the line. Because even if I could be a good lawyer to that person, I would not feel good as a person. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night, and I would feel like it sort of, like, there's a clash there between, like, what I know to be true and good and what I can do with my skills. Yeah,
I think to that example, Chen, is that people have their own definition of what a good person is to them. So to them, they may feel like, hey, I did my job. I'm not, for one, I didn't even do the crime. So me even being a bad person is not even on the table. And some people may feel, as long as I do my job, it is what it is. Me, honestly, I don't think I'm like you. I don't think I can do that and sleep well for me, because it's like, what if I'm, put it like this, what if I'm defending someone who lied to me and I got them off? You get what I'm saying? So it's like, it's kind of weird. It's a very interesting profession, but yeah, I probably wouldn't do it. Well, it's kind of too late. It's kind of too late.
It's never too late. It's never too late.
Trust me. It's very late. Okay.
I don't know if because there is a collective, I guess, agreed upon definition of what a good person is. Now, it might vary here and there, but that guy ain't like he's a good person. Like, there's people who are bad people that was like, yeah, I'm bad, but you bad like just like me.
Okay.
Just for you, just, associating with me.
Yeah.
I think people know, like, what is considered a good person, what's considered a bad person. Like, if I'm a criminal and my lawyer knew that I did the thing and it was a heinous act, and the lawyer was like, I'm gonna get you off, I'm like, yeah, you a effed up person just like me. Like, no, shout out to you. I bang with you. I love
you're
you.
a good lawyer.
Yeah, you're a great lawyer, but you're not the best person.
Yeah, I get that. That there's, like, no real moral compass if you're gonna see and know that this is a screwed up situation and then proceed onward. A good person would be like, I can't do this. Right? Like, the difference between someone who sees a wallet on the ground, who, like, you could take the money out and then mail the rest of the wallet. Does that make you a good person? Like,
I gave you back your wallet.
I gave you your wallet.
I compensated myself.
You know what I mean? Or the person who sees the wallet and then just, like, gives it all back.
Now, question: are you a bad person if you see the wallet, you walk right by it, and you do nothing? You're like, hey, he lost his wallet, or she lost his wallet. This got nothing to do with me.
I think according to the, like, definition of a good person, not that you're a bad person, but you wouldn't qualify as a good person.
I mean, that's a, I don't know if we ever did this topic, but it's like, if you're not the hero, does that make you the villain? Like, if you see a child drowning and you know how to swim, you don't save that child, are you now a villain? I don't know the answer to that.
I don't think so. I think that there's only one hero and one villain, and then there's everybody else.
Yeah, you know how to swim. And you see a kid drowning, and you probably can make it. I mean, there's always a risk. I mean, but you're in your favorite suit.
It's not even suit. It's just like, I have
what?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't go out there. I'm sorry. I probably wouldn't be the hero.
But then people, but then the question now is, do you let that child drown? Like, are you responsible for the child's death?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that like there's a hero, there's a villain, and then there's everybody else.
I am a bystander like everybody else.
There's everybody else.
Another situation. So I learned recently, maybe in the last 6 months, that cops are not responsible for saving your life. They can't be held to save your life. So there was a situation in New York where the cops were on the train and it was looking for some guy who apparently stabbed somebody earlier that day. And so some guy walks in, he sees the cops go into the other car. He sits down and he sees this guy, and the guy's just looking at him. You know, New York, there's always somebody that's just looking for no reason. So he's not making eye contact. And all of a sudden the guy said, "Today you die." And then jumps at him and starts stabbing him.
Oh my gosh.
And so, sorry, disclaimer. Anyways,
trigger warning after the fact.
I'm about to say, he said it.
Anyway, he looks up and he sees the cops in the other car looking, and they're not coming to save him. Luckily, there was another bystander that helped the guy out, so he took the guy off of him and then subdued him, and then the cops came and they arrested him.
That sounds like a cop who's not doing their job.
But that's not his job. Like, they're not required to save you from a situation. So then the question is, I mean, people will say he's a bad cop. Okay, cool. Is he a bad person? Because what if he didn't want to risk his life?
Listen, nobody wants to die. You get what I'm saying? So, but I don't know why for a cop, I feel like based on the profession, that there's an expectation to him to save a life.
But,
compared to me, who's a bystander watching a kid drown and things like that. I don't have a lifeguard suit on and things like that. It's one thing if I was a lifeguard and I'm not going out there to swim. But if I'm a bystander...
So if you're a lifeguard, are you a bad person?
If you don't go?
Yeah.
I didn't do my job.
But you're not.
You're a bad lifeguard.
You're a bad lifeguard.
But I'm not at work.
What do you mean you're not at work?
I'm a regular person walking. I'm a lifeguard.
you saying that I am off the clock.
You're off the clock.
Oh, okay.
But you're a lifeguard. You know how to do this.
I don't know.
I think that makes you a bad person.
It makes you a bad person?
Yeah. Because you have a level of expertise that you are not using.
You're not getting paid. I did this because it was a summer job.
Okay, so we're on the plane, on the plane when someone, like, we need a medical a professional. Mm-hmm. You are on the plane to go to Cabo.
But that's different.
Trust me.
How is it different?
They gotta take an oath and all that nonsense. The same people.
I am not
the summer lifeguard.
Not the summer lifeguard.
Trying to make $16 an hour.
Listen here, I'm not.
I did this for 2 years.
I'm not trying to put my girl out there, but if there was an
emergency,
if there was an emergency on the plane and they said we need a medical person to do something, she is sweet. She's like, I'm not gonna be the first one. I'm not gonna be the fifth one. Shout out to my lady, you know what I mean? But listen, it's tough. I feel like in those type of professions, once you decide to make those vows and swearing and things like that, if you're a cop, you gotta at least protect. You ain't gotta save a life, but you gotta protect them at least. I seen cops shoot people for less.
That's true.
You get what I'm saying?
That's true. So maybe that cop was thinking different. He's like,
so whole time, the time where we want you to shoot somebody, you're like, nah.
He's like, man, what have I missed? Maybe he was overthinking.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think, and we don't have to touch too much on the subject, but I think also just seeing a situation like that in real life, like I never seen anybody get stabbed.
I'll probably freeze up myself.
Yeah, so I'm like,
you never
what do
know
I do?
in those situations.
I'm not paid to. I'm not paid.
They didn't teach me this.
No, I'm not paid. Like I got to do it.
But yeah.
In closing, what's next for the Yvette? Are you like the type to plan your moves ahead, or are you the type to like go with the flow?
A little bit of both. Mostly, I do plan, or I hope and have ideas of where I'm headed. But, you know, in the last few years, I've just been like, the prayer that I've sort of been praying and everything is, let your will be done. You know, to God. It's like, prayer. Let your will be done. And so, even though I have plans or like hopes and dreams, I'm just like, whatever will be, so long as it's your will. So even if that's not the right timing, the right, you know, route or whatever, I'm open to that. Like, I surrender to that. But yeah, I definitely have like plans and goals. And so what's next? Right? I mean, what's next is, of course, continue to teach. But I'm really, really looking, like, my eyes are set on reuniting with my man. You know, my fiance lives in Ghana. And the chances of him coming here are really, really low because of the immigration backlog. So...
You're moving to Ghana?
Oh my God. Are we breaking the news here?
We're breaking the news every
Hey mom, hey dad. If you guys watch this,
I'm going to Ghana.
Surprise!
Exclusive content.
You brought me home 21 years ago, but I'm going back home.
Oh, that's big though.
No, that's very... And that's very... Actually, whenever you hear about these entrepreneurs and things like that, they always put their family to the back burner. They always put their personal life, whatever, to the back burner. Really and with you having these multiple businesses and you helping with this business and you having your job, for you to be like, you know what, one of my priorities is I need to connect with my family and so forth. So I actually like that one because you really hear people say like, you know what, I'm trying to get some on Netflix, or I'm trying to get something like something as simple as
like 100 million.
Exactly, something as simple as, you know what, I haven't been a good friend this year. Let me reconnect with my friends.
I think that's something that we both have been trying to do better. And like, I think when we first started this podcast, it was like, yeah, we trying to make 10 million, 100 million.
I'm still trying to make 10 million, but I feel
but that was our like goals, right?
Yeah.
And I think one thing that you was like, I want to make more friends. I was like, I want to be a better friend. You know, even like one thing that he said recently was like, that really like something that I deepened was, my friends are never an inconvenience. I was like, oh, I'm taking that. That's a model for my life. And it's one of those things where it's like, I think it's not just society, but I think we're just so focused on me, that we don't really think about our other parts of our lives, whether it's like friendships or family or love.
Family is really important to me. You know, in my spare time, you know, people are like, what do you do for fun? I'm like, I spend time with my family. That's what I do. I spend time with my family. And so, you know, I want, and he's my family. Just because he's not here doesn't mean that I don't spend, you know, I don't, any opportunity that I get, I will spend time with him. And so it's always like, the question's always like, oh, so you'll leave everything? And I'm like, it ain't going nowhere. It's not going anywhere. Right? But like, we are going somewhere. And so time is passing us by, and
it's so funny. I joke around with Chin. I wrote I have a blog which I need to get back to writing.
Great blog.
One of my subjects that I touched on was, I did a series called I Hated My 20s, right? So to cap off my 20s, my mother died when I was 12. My father died like when I was like 27, like around that age. And I just remember, like, most of the time I was taking care of him, helping with him and things like that. And one thing I told Chen, I think your family says something about he writes his goals in a book and he carried it with him and things like that.
My
so,
uncle.
Yes.
Uncle EJ.
Shout out to Uncle.
Shout out Uncle EJ.
And I still have the book. I don't have it with me, but I said, you know what? I'm going to have a 30 for 30 goals to where I don't repeat hating my 20s, because I really didn't like my 20s, but I really want to make it an intention to really love my 30s. Because to your point, we're going somewhere. Before you know it, we be 40. We be almost 45, 50. And it's like time is moving fast. And before you know it, you be like,
wake up.
Yeah, now when you have the time and have the strength to do things,
why not?
Why not do it now compared to putting it to the back burner? So, you know, like even now, like, you know, I'm on 31. I'm engaged. Like I'm starting the 30s off.
Yes.
On fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's very interesting to hear.
No pressure.
You was the one who was like, relax.
Shout out to the girlfriend.
Relax. You and your girlfriend wilded. Relax. Let me do me first.
Yes, exactly.
I
said, because usually, like, once one person gets married, that's when everybody want to get. I said, hey, y'all. Just
no. Let me lead the way.
No, so to hear, like, family is important.
Yeah.
Being with my loved ones is important because you know how social media is. They tell you this is important. You know, people would tell you sleep is not even important and things like that. And health people would tell you, hey, you need sleep. So it's so many things. There's so much noise telling you what is important and what should be important for you to know. You know what, family is important, and for me to reconnect or to connect with family, that is one of my goals, and that's going to be my go-to for this point forward. What are like you seen something? Like,
no, I was gonna make a plug. It doesn't need to be a plug, but a book that I recently read, which is my girlfriend's favorite book, All About Love by Bell Hooks.
Love that book.
Oh man, I just recently read it, and it's one of those books where it's like tells you we put too much pressure on in society about all these other things. But we don't put enough. Like the our aspirations in life is like, I wanted to get promoted, or I wanted to make X amount of money, or I wanted to get this house, or I wanted to get this car, and this is what my life looks like. Versus like, oh no, this year I want 10 more friends, or this year I want to have a deeper connection with so and so, or this year I want be able to spend more time with my mother or father, or this year I want to be able to reconnect with a uncle that I met. Like, we don't have those type of goals,
and those are the things that sustain us. It's like
and
that's what we
us.
need as human beings, right? So we can have all the things, the accolades, the work, the job, the money,
100%.
But
look, I'm not trying to breach a topic that me and Chen is going to do soon, but Chen been showing me lately there's an epidemic of loneliness. And people are growing up, our generation are growing up and they feel lonely. They've been told to go after these things, and even social media give the illusion that you're close with somebody. They even say close friends and so forth and things of that nature. That really in reality, they're not really as close or even have real foundation. And they say what?
You heard about what's her name? B. Simone.
Yes, I did.
With her subscription to
Close Friends. I just had.
It's so weird.
That's so wild.
But people are weird. Like, I don't even understand. I don't even understand. Like any other time, you could have just not said anything. But like, it's just weird.
But that goes to your point.
See me grieving, but if you want to, subscribe to my close
That's to your point about this illusion of what it means to be a close friend. In this social media age that we live in.
So it's like, people are growing up lonely. And me and Chen joke around when like we talk to our male audience, we tell them, hey man, you can't be lonely in your 40s, 50s, 60s years old. You're gonna die alone. Men be dying early.
And that's because y'all don't be going to the hospital, but that's a different story.
Oh yeah, that's also true.
That too.
So it's very important, and I really do love the fact that you say you want to connect back with your man and connect with your friends and connect with your family and just make better what you already have. Besides always going to get something new. But that's all my questions. That's all I have.
This was good.
You liked it?
Yeah. Y'all really I think we went around the world and I really loved it.
A little bit. Like I tried, but I really do enjoy. Thank you for taking the time out.
Thank you for coming, man.
Time out for our little startup podcast.
I'm glad that we do it. 100 million.
We hope.
You know?
I'm good with 10.
Let's start with 10.
I'm going with 1.
Let's go with 1 first.
I'm going with 1. But is there anything else you want to share, Yvette? Anything you want to plug? Anything you want to share? Anything that's on your mind?
No, you guys, this was really fun. I think that we touched on a lot of different topics.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Are you taking mentorship? Because I know you said that you wanted to have a foundation. Mm-hmm. Are you looking for mentors or mentees?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing formal, but I'm always...
Or just a chat.
Yeah, willing to chat. I'm always willing to, form relationships, right? Remember my checkers pieces. Always willing to hold a hand or two, feel free.
Okay, cool.
Anyone. Men too. It's fine.
Men too, yes. Humble yourselves. She may know more than you, okay? Humble yourself.
I had to myself. Oh, my sister's my mentor.
You know what we got to talk about on another episode?
What's up?
This is something that's really deep down. Men don't listen to women.
Oh, we don't do those type of topics. We don't do those. It gets too heated.
It's too much.
Everybody's gonna call me a simp.
No, honestly, cameras off. We're gonna have this conversation.
We can have that conversation offline, but we're not getting that space.
Please, we don't want to ban the mics.
Listen, they already told us to sell
these
our
new podcasts.
They already told us.
No, but honestly, there's an epidemic of really horrible podcasts that are about men and women and I recently learned about the definition of a high value man.
Oh, okay.
What is that?
R.I.P. R.I.P.
Anyways,
but I think those conversations need to be had. We did touch a little bit on it.
Yeah. No. We will have that conversation, and we will not have it the way that is clickbait and very. You know what I mean? I'm sure we have smart people, so.
Yeah.
So,
but those conversations are being had, and I think it's necessary because there is a shift of the definition of both genders and what it means in society.
So we will have an educated conversation about that. I get the way I took it that you want to come back, so I just take it as
yes.
If you'll have me.
Hey, we work something out. Anything else, Chin?
Nah, man, this was a great episode. Thank you for coming.
I enjoyed it. Thank you for coming. Y'all have a good rest of the week. Blessings.